And he. All right, welcome everyone to the June 9th LCA board meeting. My name is Jeff Morgan. I will be running the meeting. Amir, who is our chairman, will be joining via Zoom. And let's start with a roll call, please.
Okay. Roll call of the board. Amir Famili.
Present.
Jeff Morgan.
Here.
Ted Lyons.
Here.
Linda Rosenfeld.
Here.
Norma Cusick.
Here.
Kevin Baker.
Here.
Sean Ziller.
Here.
Mark Gramis.
Here.
Peter Dent.
Here.
All right, we got a full house today, 9 members present.
All right, great. Thank you, Lisa. All right, so first item is review of the agenda. Any changes or additions to the agenda today?
There are no changes to the agenda. I'm just noting that we do have a couple of board staff members online today, so hopefully that works all right. But we'll move forward. No executive sessions either.
Okay, great. So I'll just mention that we all received the board packet via mail and email, and I think via mail we got it. Everybody got it on time. Good. Thanks to USPS. So next item will be approval of the minutes.
I move that the minutes be approved.
I'll second it.
You get that? We're good? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any public comments?
No comments.
Thanks, Brian. Okay, so we'll move on into the action and discussion items. The first item we have is under suburban water and wastewater facilities, SCADA system upgrade approval.
Yep, and this one we have Chris Mon on the call to cover.
Hey everybody, how are we doing today? This is our ongoing SCADA project for the suburban division, and as mentioned a few weeks ago, we are wrapping up the bulk of the project. But as the program went on, we had eliminated some of the smaller systems because there was limited SCADA on site. And what has happened over the course of time is the full adoption of the software itself and the excitement and kind of use of the SCADA system has grown tremendously. So what has happened is we had six or seven of our very small systems that require programming only have bubbled up, and we're asking for a professional service authorization from Keystone Engineering to kind of continue some work for us. Some things of note, as I mentioned, it's programming only, so there will be no hardware costs. They do have small boards on site of each of the locations, and all this will do, it will allow us to put some kind of skins over the top, allow for communication back to the main office and for all of our techs to be able to access and work with them remotely. And again, you know, the program itself has had great adoption by our suburban plants team. In the packet, you can see some of the efficiencies that we've achieved since 2022, you know, specifically with decreased response time and decreased driving times are the two of the biggest ones that we saw that benefit our plants team. So in essence, we came up with a couple more smaller sites that we would like to add into the system to help encourage and again, keep these efficiencies moving forward. So for the professional service authorization of $239,500 for Keystone Engineering, with a total request of $264,500, which incorporates some contingency, internal staff time, we're looking for the board to authorize approval for this to keep the program going to get these last several sites in under the same umbrella.
If I could just make one comment. This is the first time we're using the new form. So Chris was our guinea pig for the new form that we put together based on the change in the board authorization levels and things that we did over the last couple of months. So page 3 of the green packet, you'll see a single form that says request for board authorization and includes all of the pieces that Chris just reviewed. So it looks a little different, but captures the same information that you're used to seeing. If you have any questions about the form along the way, you'll see it a couple times today.
Thank you, Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions for Chris? No, Chris, I just have one question. The remaining sites that the work is going to be done at, are they water or sewage or a combination of the two?
Water. So these are
Mostly all
mostly like smaller well sites that we're looking to
Okay.
kind of just pull in. And initially, Jeff, the thought is that they were small. We don't have a whole lot of PLC ability there. But as this system rolled and people saw the capabilities and what it offers, the question has popped up a couple times, and we just thought it best to kind of wholly finish the system.
Agreed. It's always nice to know when you have an alarm what it may be before you show up there.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we need a motion for approval.
So moved, Mr. Chairman. This is Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Second, Mr. Chairman, this is Norma.
Thank you, Norma. All in favor?
Aye.
Any follow-up questions or comments? All right, thank you.
Hey guys, thank you very much. I am out at Ace, so I'm going to drop off. Lisa, if you have anything, you can just text me and I could jump on with my phone.
Sounds good. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, so the next item we have is under water at the Allentown Water Filtration Plant. Redundant water line approval.
Yep. And this is a Chuck and Amy project.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa.
Thanks, Lisa and Jeff. So this is for design phase of a project to construct a redundant raw water line. The raw water line from the raw water pumps, which pump from they pump the intake, the flow that gets fed in through a pipe from the Little Lehigh Creek. The raw sewage pumps, or raw water pumps rather, they pump it from inside the plant to outside the primary sedimentation basins. That line has suffered poor performance, notably poor performance over the years. We think there's a blockage or some sort of obstruction in it, or just tuberculation. So we want to replace that line. So the main drivers are resiliency, address a single point of failure, which is that single line that feeds the water plant, and improve performance and capacity. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Amy.
Thanks, Chuck. As Chuck said, this is a single point of failure at the plant. We reached out to several firms to try to televise that line to find out what the problem may be in terms of a blockage or buildup in the line. Unfortunately, there is very limited access, and the companies were unable to find an appropriate access point with the size of that pipe. It is 42 and it necks down to 36 inches diameter at one point. So the accessibility to that line was pretty much not there. So the only way to be able to truly get into that line would be to take a section out. And because this is our only line to feed the plant, we would only have a 36-hour window because of storage in the system. So there's really no way to televise it without adding this new line. This new redundant line will add resiliency. We will have now 2 lines that we can alternate between them and take one out of service for any kind of maintenance or investigation purposes. We're also proposing to install a new, renew the old 1928 intake from the Little Lehigh Creek to the pumps, and that will provide further resiliency. We had a preliminary engineering report done, and that was submitted back in January, and we had submitted it to the city for conceptual design approval, and we did receive conceptual design approval. So this request today is to take the design through final design and bidding phase services. And we went out for an RFP, and we received 2 proposals. from CHA and Verdantis. We had solicited 3 proposals, but only 2 firms responded with proposals. One elected not to submit. So Verdantis and CHA were the 2 proposals we received. Verdantis was the most responsive and lowest cost. And we have had prior experience with Verdantis, and they prepared the what we felt was the most the well-defined technical approach in their proposal. And they have currently done the fluoride system upgrade design at the water filtration plant. They worked on the Spring Creek pump station and the high service pump VFDs at the water filtration plant. So we have extensive experience with Verdantis. And their proposal was $323,894 for the design and bidding phase services. And before you today is authorization request for $358,894. This includes $25,000 in there for contingency and $10,000 for staff time. So I don't know if there's any questions. I can go into more detail about what this line will all entail. But
what's the total budget of this project?
We're expecting the total cost to be around $3 million for both sections of the pipe.
Can you just clarify, there is a supply from the Lehigh River as well, correct?
That is correct. And that is another project that is currently in design to improve that pump station for tasted odor and some operability issues.
So then there would be some more redundancy, which is a good thing, correct?
Correct. That will only provide redundancy to the pumps. From the pumps to the sedimentation basins, there's only currently 1 line. So that section, this project will provide a second line. And it'll include metering and valving.
Great, yeah, thanks for clarifying that.
Jeff?
The design does include a 3D model because it is very complex inside the plant with all the existing piping and features. So that'll help the engineer better lay everything out.
Go ahead, Mark, do you have a question?
Yeah, Jeff. Yeah, I have a question for Amy. So with the new discharge line going in, do we have to reevaluate any concerns with the pump, like in terms of pump run out or anything?
We're only using 1 line. We're not adding a second that will be pumping through both lines at the same time. So it shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, so you don't think there's going to be any issues with the pump due to the lack of friction or the materials of the new pump discharge line?
That has not been a concern to date.
It should, Mark, it should improve the performance of the pumps and restore it to design condition for, new pipe. So we're keeping the discharge pipe the same size. So we should better realize what the design capacity of the pumps are.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
Any environmental issues as far as the intake at all, with the added intake from the Little Lehigh compared to what we're doing now? Or is that part of the overall permit for the plant? Or is there anything that we would have to deal with down the line?
We're not putting in a new intake. We're just redoing the line from the intake into the building. There may, during construction, need to be some, and that's something that'll be spelled out in our design, to be able to access that point. So there was, in the preliminary design report, there was reference to cofferdams needed for construction purposes. So there would be permitting needed for that for construction. It wouldn't be a permanent situation. And there will be permitting associated with floodplain because we are located within the floodplain at that location. And we have already had conversations with the city of Allentown regarding the floodplain permitting. And because everything is buried infrastructure, as long as we're returning everything to existing grade, we shouldn't have a problem from the city standpoint.
Thank you.
A quick question. This is beyond the scope of this, but is there any question going forward about the reliability of the Little Lehigh as a water source for Allentown? Just go to macro.
Is Andrew on the line? Does Andrew know that answer?
No, Andrew's not on
I am
the
here.
call.
He's there.
Yep. So as far as water
he is
quality
there.
concerns, we haven't really seen any. I will say that over really the past decade or so, with some of the industrialization of the area, there has been higher turb spikes from runoff from rain. But as far as like a general water quality, it's been pretty good.
Just to follow up on Ted's question, Andrew or Lisa, you guys may know, but I'm sure there was some kind of source water quality protection or watershed studies that have been done over the years, if I'm not mistaken, for the Little Lehigh.
Yes, that's correct. There was one completed back in, I believe it was 2009, 2010, right in that time frame.
Okay.
2011.
That was close.
Yep.
Are those, do you know, are those required periodically? I'm not familiar with but that goes to Ted's question of, protecting the watershed and making sure it's adequate to supply.
Yeah, that's a good question, Jeff. So we do have to submit annual updates to the DEP.
Okay.
Basically, what that is you sort of evaluate the area and see if there's any new concerns as far as contamination goes. But I think having a full-blown look at it again may be in our best interest over the next few years.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I believe I read that the state just recently redid the assessment of all the tributaries, their classes of, pristine, quality of water, and just the 4 different categories that they have as far as those that can be used. And I looked at the map and it didn't look like anything in our watershed was impacted in any changes, but I'm sure you guys are aware of that.
Mhm.
Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay, so we need a motion for approval for this water filtration plant redundant raw water line design effort.
I'll make that motion. This is Norma.
Second?
I'll second it.
All right, motion by Norma, second by Peter. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next item we have under water is in the Allentown division as well. 30-inch and 36-inch east side transmission main repair projects.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Jason Peters is going to present this project. It's a repair project to repair documented leaks from a study that we did about 3 years ago. This line supplies water to the east side of Allentown, and according to the Allentown GIS, it's about 75 years old. It's a steel line. So with that, turn it over to Jason.
Yeah, thanks, Chuck. Thanks, board. Bring a little project overview and background. As Chuck indicated, we started roughly about 3 years ago, leak detection out on this 36-inch steel line that leads from our distribution and collection water filtration plant area all the way through Parquette's, the old incinerary plant, across through Klein's Island wastewater treatment plant, and heads to the east side of the river. Part of that study and analysis back in June, June of 2022, performed that study using Pure Technologies, which was kind of a smart ball kind of probe. Went down through the pipe, listened for any anomalies in the pipe, listening for any of those leaks. They did pinpoint 6 areas that needed to be addressed. Prior in the past, before this project actually came to this study phase, we did repairs on this main in a couple areas prior to LCA taking over, but also I want to say about 3-4 years ago, we did a small repair over at the Klein's Island wastewater treatment plant where this main crosses through. Steel pipe, not bell and spicketed like a ductile iron main. It's a continuous piece of pipe, and it's welded together with kind of like a tar-like substance on the outside to prevent some of that deterioration from happening. So we have some insight of what's there. Based upon that study, we decided to kick off back in October of 23 the design approach, and we came to you guys to get that approved, and we did. And we started doing all the investigations. And at that point, where these actual sites, these leak sites were, come up with a cost-effective approach to go ahead and do these repairs, keep the system still active enough to provide the proper fire flows to the east side while this whole construction process is going to take place. Several of the locations, there's one right in front of the DNC distribution and collections plant. And then as we head east, there's one just outside of Parquette's, 2 locations, and over in the incinerary plant, which is now being developed. And then we have another location just at the dike where the Army Corps of Engineers has their dike right there at Klein's Island Wastewater Treatment Plant. Each of these special areas have a special constructabilities with them. So we had to engage with the Army Corps of Engineers, get some conservation district approvals, so on and so forth, because we're so close to some of the sensitive areas to dig. With that being said, we're in the area of construction right now. So we're coming to you guys for a capital project authorization of $832,320, which includes a professional service authorization to Gannett Fleming, which will be doing the construction management and inspection. They were our engineer of record for the project. And we're looking for a professional service authorization for $120,020. And then we placed the actual project out to bid April 28th, where we had April 28th, it went out on the street for bid. Mandatory pre-bid meeting was held on May 14th. We actually had 9 contractors on that mandatory pre-bid meeting. We opened up bids on May 28th. We had 6 bidders, which you can see in the table that's on the paperwork that you have. We had a good selection of the normal people that we usually see. There was 2 people I haven't seen in quite some time, but they were really high numbers. So the lowest responsible bidder was Wexcon. They're out right off of 61, just south of Hamburg, Shoemakersville area. We actually had them not too long ago on an emergency repair on New England Street Bridge in Allentown. They're actively doing a turnpike relocation project for us right now for our force main, doing a really great job. So we definitely recommend authorizing and awarding to Wexcon. So again, we're looking for a capital project authorization for $832,320, which includes a professional service authorization to Gannett Fleming and the general construction contract to Wexcon. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I do.
Sure.
So there's how many leak areas that we've detected?
We found 6 leak areas.
And what's the nature of these leaks? This is what you say, a 36-inch line?
30 and 36-inch steel line. We've seen them as far as little, historically little pinholes or leaks. But once it starts to go, it's gonna go. So with that understanding, I know the one that we did, I want to say 3 years ago, down at the wastewater plant, kind of in our storage area. That was found by by DNC, and they repaired it with a piece of wood and another welded steel plate over top of it until we got there. But when it actually leaked, it was just a small hole.
So what's the fix? They put a patch on it, or?
So for these projects, we're actually doing line stops. We're going to shut down the main, cut out the bad area.
Oh, yeah, moving it.
Sleeving in new ductile iron pipe, and in a lot of these areas, actually putting control valves back in so we can isolate our system a little bit better than what it is from when it was originally installed. So we'll have a little bit better control over the system. If something were to go catastrophic at some point, we could really isolate the system down.
Other quick questions. So we crossed the river at the sewage plant.
That's correct.
Do we go under the river there, or
Absolutely.
pop out the other side? And how much coverage do we have on the east side of Allentown? How far do we go?
Andrew, do you have an idea how much further we go beyond Albert Street before it gets a little bit smaller system than the 30 and 36-inch steel?
That I cannot answer, sorry.
So we essentially go till Bethlehem picks up over there at
That's correct.
Club Avenue.
We go past the old state hospital.
State Hospital, Ridgeville.
Yeah, I want to say the terminus end kind of leads over to the high, the reservoir, the high, yeah, that high, let's call it the little barrel that's up over there on the east side.
So how do we put the 36-inch line under the Lehigh River?
I bet that was an amazing feat way back when.
In 1949.
1949 is when it said it was installed that we have on file.
It's been a project, huh?
I could only imagine.
Thank you.
No problem.
Why are we replacing steel with steel versus going to PVC or some other material that would be less prone to corrosion, like what happened?
So the per our lease, we have to replace lines with ductile iron or similar type materials. PVC is not allowable unless into some certain areas and certain circumstances, so to speak. But for a pipe this size and magnitude, definitely a ductile iron piece of pipe will be the best fit for this area and sleeve it back into the original material, which is steel pipe.
Just one question for you. So do you have any idea what the amount of water loss is from these leaks, or this is more preventative? It's not a significant.
It's currently what we found through the study. It's nothing of much significance. Okay. It was very small leakage, but enough to cause us a little bit of angst to say, let's get ahead of this before we do have a catastrophic event. Absolutely.
Jason, this is Amir. Quick question. How do we ensure that after the repair that all the leaks have been repaired 100%? Do we go back again with the technique we use to make sure those leaks are covered?
So the actual sites where we're doing repair, Amir, we'll actually do an actual physical inspection of that pipe. We'll activate it, and then look to see if all the repair, the sleeves, the joints and all that and appurtenances that are getting installed in the ground at that location do not leak when we energize that line back up again in that area.
Okay, thank you.
It's a visual inspection that we do.
Prior to backfilling.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so we need a motion for the Allentown Division 30-inch and 36-inch East Side Transmission Mains Repair Project.
I'll make that motion. This is Norma.
Okay, so motion by Norma, second by Linda. Just one follow-up comment. I would think probably back in the 1940s, it was probably easier to put the pipe under the river than it is today. No permits required.
That's why the project.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Coffee game after coffee.
Yeah. All right. All in favor? Sorry, I got distracted. Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you, board.
Okay. Switching to wastewater, we have next item for approval, Klein's Island wastewater treatment plant, plastic media trickling filter rehabilitation.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Amy Borbach is on deck for this one as well. It's an equipment procurement authorization that we're asking for to replace plastic media that has reached the end of its useful life, being nearly 50 years old. And this is a master plan project. It's a near-term project recommended in the Klein's Island master plan. So with that, I'll turn it over to Amy.
Thanks, Chuck. Yes, as Chuck said, this is a asset improvement for, has reached the end of its useful life. Klein's Island has 4 plastic media trickling filters, all of the same age, approximately 50 years old. We are proposing to start with the first tank, which is tank number 4. And we have a current contract with CHA Consulting to do the design for this. And as part of the preliminary design phase, we had them research available media manufacturers for the trickling filters. And there are not very many out there. We identified 3 manufacturers, one of which we excluded off the bat because of the material. that their material is polypropylene, which is not really suitable for a tank of our size, which is 32 feet tall and 100 foot diameter. So we looked at the other two, which were from Brentwood and C.E. Shepherd, and both of those are PVC media, which is what the existing media is. Brentwood is actually identical to what we currently have. We went out for proposal through the CoStar's state purchasing cooperative, and we received competitive pricing from both vendors. And Brentwood was the lowest bidder, and at $2,251,000 for the media for that one tank. They are actually local. They're located in Reading. So they kind of edged out on C.E. Shepherd because C.E. Shepherd is in Texas. So there was some freight charge that increased their cost. We actually had solicited some pricing. Our engineer, CHA, had solicited pricing from Brentwood during their preliminary design. They just reached out for a quote, and it was actually higher. So going through the CoStars actually was a slightly lower cost than what we were originally quoted. By about $600,000. So we're saving some money.
Would you explain that, what you just said?
CoStars is a state purchasing cooperative. So vendors can get certified to become a CoStars vendor. And using the CoStars process, you're competing then with the other CoStars vendors. So it can help us to get better pricing and avoid the process of necessarily having to go out for public bid, because the state's already done that process to vet these vendors. So we get the competitive pricing, and it's slightly easier process maybe, but it's the work has already been done by the state for us to vet, to certify these vendors to become a CoStars vendor. So when they quoted CHA during their design, they were not using their CoStars pricing.
So you mean to tell us that they dropped $600,000 because of CoStars?
In this instance, yes. It's not always that big of a difference, but in this instance, yes.
It may have
More to it
also,
than that.
it may have also helped that they knew it was going to be competitive.
Yes, they knew they were bidding against somebody else.
More like
So it kept them more honest necessarily. But so we.
Dishonest contractor. Hard to believe.
And as Chuck said, this project is something that had been identified as a near-term project in the master plan. And as he indicated earlier, the existing media is approximately 50 years old. And as we all know, over time, PVC does become brittle. The top layers are exposed to UV. So there is actual different composite in that top layer. And then there's a grating that goes over it that's you can walk on to distribute the weight evenly, so, and also provide some UV protection. The entire project, we will be coming back to you for a construction contract. We are going to be submitting to the city, hopefully by next Friday, for the final substantial design level for approval. We do have conceptual design approval from the city for the project, and the substantial design approval will be going to the city next week, hopefully next Friday. And we do plan on them putting it out to bid for construction. So this media is just the media purchase. We will get a contractor on board, and the contractor will receive delivery of this media and install it. The plan is to have them on board and have a notice to proceed issued November 1st, so that a contractor can then receive the media starting in December and start installing December, January, February, and have everything back online by March, because there are strict permitting limits with our effluent, and during the winter months we have more flexibility. So that's why we're taking this offline in the winter months. Maybe not the ideal construction season, but it's best for our permit. And so timing is critical for all of these pieces to come together. So I will be back with a construction contract and construction engineering services during construction, probably in late July, early August. So
I'm sorry.
go ahead. This authorization is for $2,251,000 just for the media purchase itself.
So this seems like a lot of money for a bunch of plastic. And it's a lot of plastic. So what this stuff looks like, it's like the corrugations and like corrugated cardboard. These are big modules. The tank is 32 feet high and 100 feet in diameter. So these modules fill the inside of the tank, and it's designed to create a whole lot of surface area for the primary, the effluent from the primary clarifiers to trickle over all this media. There's a rotating arm that distributes the wastewater, and there's a biomass, a slime, if you will, that attaches to the surface of all these corrugations over time. It takes a while to establish it, but the biomass biologically treats the wastewater as it trickles through all this media. And it comes, it comes in modules. I'm not sure how many cubic yards each module is, but it's cut to size to fit the inside. And it's a black material. It's very heavy. So it's a lot of plastic. It's a lot of cost for a lot of plastic, but it's, like Amy said, it's very limited who manufactures this stuff. It's fortunate that the low bid is from the local firm in Reading. They are pretty much the standard around here for plants that have plastic media trickling filters. So yeah, the project is major capital. So the preliminary engineering was approved by the city. So project costs will be recaptured in the rates.
So you considered materials of just polypropylene and then PVC. I understand, polypropylene in a lot of chemical environments is not nearly as robust as PVC. Was there anything beyond PVC that would last longer, maybe cost more than maybe CPVC, or I can't imagine anything else?
Nothing in the industry. There's not as many of these plants anymore, trickling filtered plants. So, there's not a lot of manufacturers. But
back in the day, the trickling filters started out with rock in them. And then when they got bigger and higher, they went to the plastic media.
Right, and the city plan has rock media trickling filters in series. After it goes through the plastic media trickling filter towers, it then goes to intermediate settling tanks, and then it goes to the rock media for additional biological treatment.
So is the expected life of this media similar to the last one at 40, 50 years or so?
Yeah, probably it was 30 years at the time, and we got nearly 50.
We got lucky. If you ask Brentwood, they say 25 years. And I think it has, I don't remember what the warranty is on the media, but it's like a 5-year warranty. But we actually had this tank offline to do some other repairs about a year ago, and we had Brentwood come in just to give us their opinion on how the media was performing and the age and condition of it. And their report, in that report, is when they reference that the average age of media is 20 to 25 years life expectancy. So we definitely gotten our money's worth. And Brentwood's media is identical in the parameters to what we currently have. So from a function standpoint, we don't anticipate any disruption in the treatment process because it's identical to what we have. It will take a little time, as Chuck mentioned, that growth to build up on the media, which is why we want to have everything back online by April 1st, because the permit limits change May 1st to give us that little bit of buffer for growth to form.
Yeah, you said we have 4 of these tanks.
4 of these tanks.
Do we have to eventually change all of them?
Yes, because they're all the same age.
So
And they're all the same age?
Correct.
So this is sort of a pilot project, almost the first of the 4 tanks. We want to see what the condition of the interior is, that we can't access it. So like structurally, now the walls do not hold any fluid because it trickles down. The walls are just to surround the tank, but they're not for like hydrostatic. But there's a structure on the bottom. There's piers, there's supports.
we don't know what the condition of that concrete is. So we we will have an allowance in the construction contract, allowances to do, spot repairs and patching and whatever.
Can you see the degradation of the media at all through like particulate that's caught in the filters, as it degrades with time and it embrittles? And I would imagine you'd see more in the filters.
When you're on top of the filter, you can see some broken pieces, and we have seen some broken bits of plastic come out in the effluent trough. So yes, there has been some evidence of some of the degradation over the years. There's not massive quantities, but operators do have to occasionally walk up there, and it is a concern, the media of this age, if there were to be a failure. So
Peter, this is Amir. PVC needs to be plasticized, and plasticized are prone to migration. In the old days, remember that you have those all condensation in your front window was coming from the plasticizer from the PVC. I think over time those plasticizers come out and the PVC become brittle. I think that's the theory that the way it's happened.
Thanks, Amir. Any other questions?
Yeah, Jeff, this is Mark. The same type of material I'm imagining is what you would see in cooling towers in power plants. Over time, it can become very brittle. So it's good that this is looked at, and some of the stuff does degrade over time and find its way into the system. But my question that I have here, since I've never really had to deal with environmental issues with a sludge attaching to these things, is what's the approximate disposal fee for the old fill or the old media that we'll have to incur?
I don't know that we have an exact fee for just the disposal, but the entire construction cost, which would include the contractor removing the media, is estimated to be around $2 million. That number came from our engineer. That number is being revised. I will have a better number next week with their, 90% design package. But the total construction cost is anticipated to be around $2 million for the contractors.
I see that in the literature, Amy. I was just wondering what the cost is going to be to the plant or the LCA to dispose of the material that we've had in place for 40 years, and if there's any special permitting required from DEP, and what the cost would be, or are we going to be storing this on site for some period of time? Because you're looking at 83 truckloads of material. So I'm assuming that that's going to be the same amount that we're going to be taking out.
That will be included in the contractor's fee. And I would assume that they break it up to reduce the volume. And we don't know what their means and methods are going to be when they demolish that stuff. In
the contract, it specifically has as an exclusion that disposal is our responsibility.
That's from the media manufacturer. The contractor, who we don't have on board yet, will be responsible for disposing of the existing media.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So actually, just following up on Mark's question, that was the same question I had. As part of the design, are you evaluating alternatives for disposal? Like, could it be recycled? I know some projects I was involved with, we did exactly what you said. They tried to break it up as small as possible. It had to go to a landfill. And that's that's unfortunately the most costly. I don't know these days with some of the other, if there are any other options, or if I assume the design engineer will be evaluating that.
Yeah, they'll look at that, Jeff, and I don't know with like the dried slime layer, how readily that can be recycled. I mean, you'd have to get rid of, somehow wash it.
Right. Yeah. We actually had a project. It was, unfortunately, the trickling filters were out of service for a while, and we were able to get the stone media proved to be reused.
Okay.
Because as long as it was washed and dried. But I don't know with the plastic. That's a whole different ballgame. So, but that saved a lot of money because you weren't hauling it to a landfill.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, This is Mark again. I don't know how realistic it is, but there are plants that have high temperature kilns, like some of the cement plants or whatever. I don't know, they utilize plastic in some cases, but maybe there's an option there to get in contact with somebody to see if, if we do something that they could utilize that in their facilities, Lafarge or someplace like that. Just to throw a name out.
We'll have our engineer look into that, Mark, as part of the design.
10-4, thank you.
Just one more question from Amir. There has not been any improvement on increasing the surface area in this plastic media to increase the throughput and so on and so forth?
As far as I know, we're replacing it basically in kind with the same, I don't know if you want to call it permeability or however they rate that. That would be a permit change. So I'm not aware that we're changing the treatment.
No. And there were also concerns, and the city raised this concern during their conceptual design review as well, regarding airflow through the filters because of odor control. We currently have our odor control units there that draw air through the filter to go through our odor control units to prevent odors. And changing the design would affect how those currently operate. So that was another concern, that we didn't want to affect that negatively and cause odors. Speaking of odors, full disclosure, this is gonna stink when it dries out. When we take the tank offline, we do treat it with sodium hypochlorite to disinfect. And we are putting language in the contract that the contractor, when they remove, must take the material off-site. As soon as it gets out of the tank and they put it in their containers, they must get it off-site, and it can't be stored on site for long term. And I have been in contact with Sue Sampson about putting out a public notice ahead of time, just to let everyone know there could be some odors. Being that it's winter, that could help us, less people outside in their backyards grilling and possibly smelling things. So we're gonna do everything we can to prevent the odors during the construction phase.
Yeah, Amir, just to kind of expand on that, back in the day, there were lots of trickling filter plants, and then a lot of them went to different technology, activated sludge, oxidation ditches, whatever it may be. And so I think there's not a lot of trickling filter plants around, and I don't think there's only 2 manufacturers of this media. I don't think there's a lot of room for, improvement in the design or the media. Because again, it went from the stone to the plastic, and that's basically been about it in the last 30 years that I'm aware of.
Yeah, plus I've seen the same thing with packing media and other, other types of media like this. There's been very little progress in decades on these, in terms of changes of configuration and whatnot. And also just like with with any sort of recycling of plastics, that's been coming along very, very slowly. So good luck with it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we need a motion for approval of the Kleins Island wastewater treatment plant, plastic media trickling filter purchase, I guess, as presented.
So moved. This is Norma.
So,
In case there's any doubt.
Norma, all right. Thank you, Norma. And then second by Linda? Oh, Peter? Okay, second by Peter. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on.
Jeff, need to take an official vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep trying.
We have the lawyer.
I keep trying to skip that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you. Last time when I ran the meeting, I said to Lisa, make sure you tell me when I screw up, not if I screw up. So thank you. Okay, monthly project updates.
All right. And for the record, Jeff, you're doing a great job.
Thank you. Well, we will get you everywhere.
I really appreciate all the robust discussion today on these projects. We certainly do have a lot going on, and that is going to continue through the rest of, well, it feels like eternity, but in particular, talking about the upcoming June meetings, there's a few items to look forward to. In addition to the regular monthly reports that we do, we are going to be back on track with our normal summer presentation of the audit and financial statements. So look forward to seeing the auditors at our next meeting. We also have a project that we'll be bringing to the board next meeting on the Buss Acres water system and the PFAS remediation project there. So a couple good discussions going on. In the project report under project updates, this is, I really wanted to highlight the exciting news that we are planning to go live with our new implementation of our Munis financial system. And that go live date is July 1st. We are all green, ready to go. All the systems are configured and just doing some final testing and end user training in the next few weeks. So big shout out to Chris, who's not on the call anymore, and his team. Brooke Nevy has been our project manager, doing an excellent job. Ed Klein and his team, Todd Marion, and the entire financial crew, and many other people. So we feel confident July 1st is going to be a successful go live for that project, and we'll share more details about how it went and the results of that in the months ahead. That's the main update that I have. If there's any questions on any of the projects listed in the remainder of the report, we can try to answer those for you.
Any questions? Nope, I'm good. All right, so the next item, monthly financial review, is at the second board meeting of the month. Monthly systems operations overview is also this next meeting. Staff comments.
The only comment I have today is that I'm working with Amir to schedule an executive committee meeting for our next meeting in June to talk about some of the board functions and feedback that has been provided over the past couple of months. So look for information from me about scheduling that, likely immediately following the next meeting on the 23rd.
Great, thank you, Lisa.
That's all I have.
Solicitors' comments?
No comments, thank you.
Public comments?
No comments, thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Any board member comments?
Yeah, this is Sean. I just wanted to, I did it via email to both Phil and Liesel, but just want to offer my thanks to Phil filling in for Liesel. I'm on the North Whitehall Township Planning Commission because why not have yet another thing to do? And Phil came to present on what you've been doing to all the municipalities for Liesel in our service area related to Klein's Island and oh wow, I'm drawing a blank right now. Help me, Liesel. The
Act 537 plan.
Yes, Act 537 plan. And Phil did a great job filling in. I mean, as most of you know, the North Whitehall portion that this addresses is a very small portion of the township. So I think Phil did a great job synthesizing complex information at a scale that, again, given the small portion of North Whitehall that this addresses, he did it really well and explained it to, I think, both myself, who's in the know on this, as well as other planning commission members who hadn't heard of it before. He did a great job. So I just want to offer my thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Thank you, Sean.
I just want to say, since the last meeting, I went to a workshop and they were talking about PFOA and PFOS with the changes that are being suggested by the new administration. And I asked a question I had asked this group before as far as DEP, were they going to be having any differences in standards? And they said, absolutely no, they will follow the federal standards. And we're looking at giving some relief on some of the, various species of that whole PFAS area and Gen X, and I'm sure we'll be learning about that as time comes forward. But to me, what's staggering is how you measure and detect to 4 parts per trillion, or that would be 4 nanograms per liter, which is almost unfathomable. So God bless us to be able to measure that and deal with it.
All right, any other board member comments? And we have no executive session, so I guess meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.